Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so great to be with all of you today. I missed you all desperately. As you know, we were out for 3 show days, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. Thank you to our amazing producer, Inez Annie Cyrus, who took care of the Shannon Joy Show earlier this week. And of course, Jeff Dornik, who hosted the Shannon Joy Show on Monday and Tuesday. He's the founder of Pickaxe, an amazing social site that's going to do business with Twitter when they get that up and running. So thrilled for that collaboration with Jeff Dornik. And I know he did a great job. So huge thank you. Annie, thanks for keeping the lights on here at the Shannon Joy Show. And of course, all of you in the live chat, I missed you guys. I hate being away from the show. So much has happened in the last 3 or 4 days. As you know, the family was down in Virginia Beach for the past 4 or 5 days for the USA Beach Volleyball Nationals. So my daughter Mimi and my son played in beach doubles. They did fantastic. They placed very high. They improved their standing. And it was a great vacation for the entire family. So we had a wonderful time. And it's just good to be back. Again, so much has happened over the past few days. You guys see the headline of today's show: Running Scared. Speaker Mike Johnson shuts down the House of Representatives to avoid the Massie vote to release the Epstein files. That's just one of many headlines we are going to hit today on the Shannon Joy Show. I think the big story right now in the United States of America is that the American people are waking up to the gaslighting. They're waking up to the propaganda. Our minds are becoming strong again, and we're just not buying it. It is just too outrageous. Donald Trump trying to gaslight his base into believing that there's no there in the Epstein files. They tried the fake binders with Pam Bondi. They tried the interview with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino when they told their bases that there's no there in the Epstein files. And then once again with the Bondi memo, then Donald Trump in multiple press conferences getting angry with his base, ridiculing them, calling them stupid, saying that this Epstein file story was a creation of the Democrats, and I kid you not, James Comey, okay? And that the whole thing is just fraudulent after telling their base, their audiences for so many years that there is, of course, they're completely blowing up in their faces. People are now speculating that the reason for all of this is because indeed Donald Trump himself is named on the client list and is in the files. A massive, massive digital billboard going up in Times Square over the weekend, telling Donald Trump, demanding that Donald Trump release the files. The victims of Epstein clients are rallying together, coming together, pushing back because they want justice. It's all too much, and it ends with Mike Johnson throwing a temper tantrum on national television, attacking Tom Massie, and basically throwing the checkerboard in the air, ending the game prematurely before they get outed. This is because Tom Massie is pushing. He has the votes in the House of Representatives to pass a bill. It's a certain procedural tactic, but it would indeed get them on the record in a roll call to vote yay or nay on releasing the Epstein files. Very easy way to see who potentially is on that list, and it's just blowing everything up. We have a story today from Politico that we are going to look at. The Epstein crisis is forcing Republicans to shut down the House early. This was not on my bingo card for the summer of 2025, but it is glorious to watch. It is glorious to watch the American people wake up. Another amazing headline that we are going to look at today, coming from Children's Health Defense and a new study that was just released showing that 60%, I kid you not, 60% of young moms and dads are planning to delay or completely reject the CDC recommended childhood vaccine schedule. This is unbelievable. This is the market, the American people, overwhelming decades of the most relentless and coercive propaganda that we have ever witnessed in this country, aimed squarely at the medical community and young parents. This is a bombshell, and we have that story from Children's Health Defense that we are going to look at as well. Again, the big headline as I come back from vacation, fire hose in the face every single day with this 24-hour news cycle, which is relentless. But I think the big story is we are seeing the pushback. People are not buying the propaganda, the gaslighting, and the psychological manipulation of mainstream news media, right-wing news media, and our American federal government, both Democrats and Republicans. This is everything. No is a complete sentence. And no is going to be the name of the game over the next 12 months. So buckle up. It is an amazing time in the history of the United States of America as we fight against subjugation and tyranny from our own government. It is now becoming clear, both parties, it is now becoming clear to more and more Americans that this is the case. It's becoming obvious, right? Our memories are not that short. They're pretty short. Americans are pretty distracted. Yes, we're divided, but it has become utterly ridiculous. And there is so much data out there now that we can draw from, and just enough independent outlets like the Shannon Joy Show, independent reporters like the folks over at Daily Clout, and all of the wonderful guests that we bring onto this show on a regular basis. There are just enough of us out there to continue to proclaim the truth and break through this propaganda. So congratulations, guys. It's now getting interesting, and I'm right here with you to analyze it every single day. So we're going to hit the live chat. As I mentioned, I missed you guys so much, so we're going to say hello to all of you. But first, I do want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors here in the Shannon Joy Show. We are so appreciative of our friends at the Satellite Phone Store, sat123.com, sat123.com. Great headline. Well, very interesting. I don't know if it's a great headline, but very interesting headline from Zero Hedge that I included in the SJ top picks for articles of the day. If you want to scroll down in the description, you'll get my 4 or 5 top articles of the day that I think are most important and most relevant to all of you. Experts are now warning that this massive expansion of data centers that are driven by the expansion of AI, they are commanding so much energy that it is absolutely crushing the United States of America and our grid, the electronic grid. Many are predicting rolling blackouts across the country in the next 12 months. This is why there are massive plans by the federal government to expand the number of data centers across the country, attaching them to nuclear power or nuclear reactors, which is insane. All of this is to set up the control grid. Digital currencies, digital IDs, digital surveillance, mass surveillance of every American. We have to fight and rage against that. But those rolling brownouts and blackouts, this is the kind of stuff that we need to be prepared for. And the folks over at the Satellite Phone Store have everything that you need and that your family needs to prepare for anything. Blackout, brownout, natural disaster, alien invasion, government created disaster, you name it. If you are prepared, then you will not be afraid. And it is only when we are afraid that we are vulnerable to the manipulation and the coercion of this hostile government. And so one of the things that I encourage to this audience and for this audience is to be prepared. Satellite Phone Store has everything you need, from solar panels to generators to Faraday technologies that will protect your devices from a potential EMP attack, and also protect you from EMF radiation from the 5G, the 4G, the 3G, and all of the Gs, right? They have everything you need for communication, so many different satellite phone packages for all of your needs. They have great monthly plans. And if you use the promo code JOY, you will get 10% off your annual fee and a free satellite phone. So go to sat123.com/joy today. That is sat123.com/joy today. Use that promo code JOY for all of your purchases. It's always going to get you that nice, robust 10% off. And of course, we're so thankful for them. Big thanks to, of course, Annie for producing the show and being with us today. Let's hit the live chat. Then we will hit the headlines. Karen Carpenter, 27, is with us today. Great to see you, Karen Carpenter. Glad that you are here. John, generic last name, is with us as well. Love to see new faces on the live chat. CJP Rumble looking great today. Chronozone 777. The Rumble live chat is the smartest, kindest, best audience, I would say, and all of Rumble. So I so appreciate all of you. Of course, we're live on Facebook, live on YouTube, Spreely TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, X America News. We're live on X, also carried by Daily Clout and our friends over at Patriot TV every single day. And we are really thankful for all those partnerships as well. If you want to comment on Facebook or Twitter or X America News, please do so. And Annie will keep an eye on that as well. And welcome and hello to all of our brand new Substack viewers as well. We have really expanded the footprint of the Shannon Joy Show with platforming over the past month, and it's just amazing how many that we're reaching via podcasts and videocasts every single day. Buskman, how are you? Did you leave the heat on again, Shannon? I did not. The temperature here in the Joy studio is absolutely perfect. And I've gotten a little bit better. No, it's not 90 degrees here in the studio. And I am very thankful for that. Karen Carpenter, great to see you looking so relaxed and refreshed, Shannon. We had such a wonderful time. It was so nice. We drove down to Virginia Beach, and I had my son Jackson with me, who is in college. He was a freshman last year, and he's back with us. And I just can't tell you, as a mother, to have all of that time with my kid in the car, driving. Devastatingly handsome Dr. Joy coached both Mimi and Teddy, and it was just amazing. We just had an amazing time. And it's wonderful. Honor Seeker, we're live on Pickaxe as well. You know what? I didn't know if we had set Pickaxe up yet. That's super exciting. And I love that. So, hey, Pickaxe audience, great to see all of you. Make sure you throw up those comments in the box there as well. HBard36 is with us. Hey, Chara Kubani, great to see you as well. We hope you had a great time while you were away. Glad that you are back. It is good to be back. I love being on vacation, but I always love coming home. There's no place like home. And sometimes I have to pinch myself that this is my job, something that I enjoy so much, coming to all of you and trying to figure out the news of the day and what's going on. It's just such a blessing. And so, yeah. Be My Valentine is with us as well. What else do we have here? Guitar Lily. Yes, that's one other angle of this Epstein saga at this point. It looks like they're trotting out some sort of scheme to get Ghislaine Maxwell to testify, right, on the Epstein list. And Whitney Webb had a very interesting response to that. She sees that the whole Ghislaine Maxwell going on the stand and the trial as potentially another distraction campaign. And she's right. Ghislaine Maxwell is in a highly vulnerable position. She is incarcerated. She is under the control of the federal government through that incarceration. And she knows what happened to Jeffrey Epstein. So I wouldn't expect Ghislaine Maxwell to be a credible witness, because there is so much of an opportunity for federal agents to coerce her. And that was the sentiment of Whitney Webb in this response tweet. And she wrote this: Ghislaine will do anything to negotiate her release and or prevent her from being harmed in prison if she believes that her life is in danger. This is the ultimate way to both avoid releasing the bulk of the Epstein documents, writes Whitney Webb, still held by the government and still seem like they are pursuing justice in the case. Don't be fooled. Maxwell will name the names she's told to name, and she's told to name, so she doesn't end up like her father or Jeffrey Epstein. This could also pave the way for a pardon Ghislaine movement, which, aside from Ghislaine's own family, seems to really have been started by the Thielverse, that is Peter Thiel and the tech bros, one of their operatives, Chuck Johnson, a little while ago. If they have Ghislaine testify and she says what she is told to say, they can reward her with a pardon or reduce her sentence. Her testimony will be hard to trust given the stakes for her and for the Trump administration. I happen to agree 100% with Whitney Webb. We're also bringing in an amazing researcher. He is probably the original gangster in uncovering child sex trafficking operations linked to both the Democrat Party and the Republican Party going back over 20 years. His name is Nick Bryant, and he will be with us this Friday live in the Joy Virtual Studio. We rescheduled his interview, and I am so anxious to talk to Nick. He knows this story inside and out. He is a phenomenal reporter, completely independent, and we are going to learn so much from him. Yes, Trump is running cover, and I think that this proves my theory. Just the fact that they are going to the lengths they are going to keep these documents sealed and to never release them, I think proves the point that I made 10 years ago to this audience, just weeks after Donald Trump came down the escalator. After doing my deep dive, I learned all that I needed to know about Trump and his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and all of the people surrounding Jeffrey Epstein. Also, all of his other associations with people like George Soros, his financial relationships with George Soros, his relationships with the Clinton family. It's all there. And so when I said there's a chance that Donald Trump is in those files and on that list, I think that we're being proven right here with everything that has just recently happened. So yeah, nautical. Ghislaine testimony and Obama Russia gate is the damage control. That was another desperate attempt for Donald Trump and his handlers in Washington, D.C. to distract everyone from Epstein. It's to drag out the Russia gate scandal again, and the Obama ties to that. Donald Trump coming out and saying that Obama committed treason, right, just a couple of days ago. It's not working. That's the issue, right? I mean, this is as powerful as Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. That was another moment when the culture overwhelmed the propaganda and overwhelmed the lies that were coming out of both the left and the right. This is another example of that. And it is showing that the American people are becoming stronger in their ability to resist these propaganda narratives. And it's huge. It's absolutely huge. So that is very interesting. And we're going to keep an eye on that as well. So why don't we head to break, and we'll get to some of the top stories of the day. We are going to be looking at the 60% of American parents who are rejecting COVID vaccines, and another desperate attempt by this administration, Donald Trump, and now tragically Bobby Kennedy Jr., to gaslight their constituencies. And this happened over the past week while I was gone. Robert Kennedy Jr., his FDA approving another Moderna COVID vaccine, then a desperate attempt by his people to say, well, this happened while Bobby was on vacation, and it resulted in his mass firing of lots of executives over at HHS in a bizarre car accident, like really crazy. No one's buying it. And no one is buying the narrative coming from Maha and Robert Kennedy Jr. People want action on the vaccines. And so this is leading to amazing developments. Children's Health Defense is now launching a lawsuit against Bobby Kennedy Jr., who was a founder of that organization and linked to that organization for decades. They are now going after Bobby Kennedy Jr., suing him to make good on some of the promises that he made about studying causal links from vaccination to childhood illnesses. And so that is one great development here. Another example of the pushback. People are not buying what they're selling. Also, we have pushback in the form of this piece. This was really interesting. And I didn't link it today. It's Endpoint News. I didn't link it because this is a pharmaceutical industry magazine. Yours truly, me, I was featured heavily in this article about the growing resentment and resistance against Bobby Kennedy Jr. and his HHS for not addressing the core issues of not Maha, but the medical freedom community. And those core issues are, number one, first and foremost, bodily autonomy. No government shall coerce, manipulate, or force any human to accept a medical intervention or a vaccine or anything against their will into their body. That is a core, it is the core sentiment of this movement. Secondly, informed consent. If people are to accept medical interventions or vaccines, they must be given full informed consent, and that is knowledge of how those vaccines or medical interventions could impact their bodies and a full understanding of the adverse events so that they can conduct a risk-benefit analysis. Number three, pharmaceutical company liability. If pharmaceutical corporations are going to accept largesse from the federal government, if they are going to accept all sorts of marketing assistance and partnership from the federal government, they must be, or any manufacturer, not even manufacturers that work with the federal government, must be held liable if their products harm or injure consumers. And that is not happening. This administration is ignoring all three of those tenets. And this this piece, I mean, again, an insider pharmaceutical industry magazine, really impressive piece. They were very friendly to us, and they were very interested in this movement and why we're so frustrated with Bobby Kennedy Jr. and Maha, and made it very clear that we didn't get into this to make Americans do anything. We didn't get into this to make Americans healthy, to force Americans to be healthy according to the standards of Bobby Kennedy or HHS. It was never about food dyes. It was never about food. It was always about bodily autonomy. No one's forcing people to eat Fruit Loops. No one's forcing people to drink Coca-Cola, but children are being forced to undergo vaccination against their will, and parents are being forced to vaccinate their children as a condition of, so many things. Entering school, receiving medical treatment, and a few other areas. So we're going to be looking at that as well. Again, theme of today's show, we're not buying it. They're desperate, they're trying, but it isn't working. When we come back, we're going to continue this discussion. I want to get your comments, and we'll look at some of the other headlines of the day as well. Devastating headline from Australia, also listed in the show notes. This is horrifying. This is grotesque. They are now offering $25,000 in a dead baby bonus to young mothers in Australia who will abort their children after 20 weeks. It's horrifying, it's grotesque, and it is just part of the culture of death that our medical industrial complex has become. This is sparking all sorts of outrage, and we're going to look at that as well when we come back. So keep it tuned right here on the Shannon Joy Show. We'll be back in a moment to continue the discussion. As you know, the Joy children are all beach volleyball players. They're always trying to get more protein into their diet. It rebuilds strength. It helps them repair their muscles. It supports the fast metabolism, and they never have any bloat with the native path. So one of our favorites on game days or in the morning, one of our favorites at the Joy household is the chunky monkey. And this is the way that you make it. I promised you I'd give you my recipe. And if you have like picky eaters who don't always make the best choices and don't love their vegetables and, don't eat healthy, this is a great way to get, just so many nutrients packed in. So we do a scoop of, so I use the bullet. I don't know if you guys have the bullet blender, but we use the bullet blender. I put a scoop of peanut butter, so natural peanut butter, then a bunch of ice. Then we pour over that enough milk to kind of cover all of the peanut butter, all of the ice. Then we put a banana, a full banana in, super ripe if you have one, and a scoop of the Native Path Complete Chocolate Protein. That's the kicker. That's where you just like ramp this thing up. And so you put it in the blender, you mix it up, and it is so delicious. It is packed. There's nothing bad in this. It is the banana. It is the natural peanut butter. It's the protein, ice, and just a little bit of skim milk. And it's just, it's so, so good. They love it. And I never, ever, no ice cream whatsoever. It tastes like ice cream though. It is, you guys are going to die. And honestly, the chocolate protein from Native Path is so good. It is so good that my kids will mix it into their milk. They'll make chocolate milk with it because it just tastes so great. It dissolves perfectly. Again, 41% off. You guys know Native Path always comes to the table with like the best discount deal. This is when everyone in the Joy audience stocks up. So 41% off Native Path CompleteProtein.com/joy. Native Path CompleteProtein.com/joy. This is limited time, 41% off. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. This is an absolutely devastating headline from Daily Declaration. This is a life-focused publication out of Australia, and this is the headline, and it is horrifying, utterly horrifying, and really the embodiment of what our medical industrial complex, the modern day medical machine, has become, not just in the United States of America, but in Western democracies across the globe. And this is the headline: the Albanese government is now paying a baby bonus for late-term abortions. New parental payments in Australia include what they call a baby bonus. We would call it a dead baby bonus for women who abort after 20 weeks, raising serious concerns about how our society values motherhood, family, and the unborn, and life itself, just basic life. This is anti-human. This is grotesque. This is monstrous. This is horrifying. And I suspect this has to do with medical experimentation and scientific research. Because as we know, here in the United States of America, after the exposure of multiple scandals from Planned Parenthoods and companies that procure baby body parts from abortion practices to be used for scientific research, much of that scientific research funded by the NIH. And I believe the NIH is continuing. I haven't seen any headlines about the NIH under Jay Bhattacharya banning the use of fetal tissue or aborted baby parts for scientific research. So that would actually be a great question to ask them under Robert Kennedy Jr.'s HHS. But we know from, I believe it was David Daljish, I don't know if I'm getting his, or Delidian, if you guys can help me out on the live chat, there was an undercover sting operation that happened about a decade ago where they went in and witnessed negotiations between fetal part procurement companies and abortion clinics. And we saw price lists for baby body parts, aborted baby body parts. And for scientific research, they often want fully formed organs. They want mature babies as opposed to babies who are aborted in the early stages, because they have much more to work with in terms of research. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And they paid I mean unbelievable, astronomical prices for fully formed baby brains, fully formed baby hearts, livers, lungs, just horrifying, utterly horrifying. And the man who actually ran that undercover operation was completely annihilated. I mean, he was absolutely ruined. Baby organ trafficking, absolutely. And David Dalidian, yes, or David Dalidian, yeah. And if I'm not correct, I mean, they pursued him relentlessly. He was sued, and I'm not really sure how he is even doing now. But he paid dearly for the truth. We saw the truth, and now it's becoming mainstream. They're not even hiding it. They're not even hiding it. The Albanese government, this is in Australia, is paying mothers to wait till after 20 weeks in her pregnancy to abort her baby. And they will give her what they call a stillbirth parenting payment, a parenting payment to kill your baby after 20 weeks of $4,255, or a paid parental leave payment of $20,147. If they get both, it is a total of $25,000. Not even Aldous Huxley's Brave New World could have envisioned such a grotesque inversion of the meaning of parenting, but such is the time that we now live in, according to Daily Declaration. This is horrifying. Late-term abortion is a horrific and barbaric practice. Not only that, it is a premeditated act of murder to take the life of a potential human being, a viable human being. As pro-life lawyer Dr. Joanna Howe explains, killing a baby after 20 weeks and up until birth entails injecting the baby's heart with potassium chloride or Diogen, and is followed by the early induction of labor on that now stillborn baby. This is a deliberate and willful act to kill a healthy baby very late in pregnancy and deliver them stillborn. In South Australia, 80% of late-term abortions kill healthy babies. This is just unreal. This is also highly traumatic to mothers as well, desperate mothers, and highly dangerous. These procedures are grotesque. They are barbaric. And I just, it is the most violent thing. It is the most violent thing that I can imagine in this world, to take a mother's womb, right? I mean, this is where the miracle of life, the creation of life, a peaceful mother's womb, and where a baby is protected and nurtured and growing. It is the most natural, beautiful, amazing, miraculous moment that we'll ever witness in our lives. As a mother of 3 children, there is nothing like the birth of my 3 children. And even more important to that than the 9 months prior to their birth, where they're in my body. It's so miraculous. And to go in and rip it apart, to tear it apart violently, to harvest organs for the open market, it's horrifying. It's horrifying to consider that the practice is even done. It's even more horrifying to consider that we are now normalizing this. This is why we have to fight. This is why we have to relentlessly cling to the truth. There's another headline. The Bobby Kennedy Jr. administration has taken another look at organ donors and the system of organ donation in this country, and has found that many, many Americans, people who are on organ donor lists, are murdered, or this is not what the report says that they released, but essentially they are determined to be viable for organ donation and terminated prematurely. And so, they're going to be looking into the entire practice of organ donation. But Mike Adams, the health ranger, had a very good statement about that, like a chilling statement about organ donation and what has happened to the medical industrial complex here in this country. It's become a killing machine. Our hospitals have become killing hospitals. Healthcare has become death care. Life has become death. They've completely inverted the truth. This is why, when we talk about rape of the mind and menticide and gaslighting, right? Like just turning truth inside out and doing it in such a relentless way over and over, pummeling us with these headlines on a daily basis. Men are women, women are men, life is death, sickness is health, all of these things that we are pummeled with, right? It does something to our minds and our psyche and our soul and our spirit, and it's dangerous. But in response to the announcement by HHS to look into organ donation, I mean, this prompted, or this spurred a discussion on Twitter about this, and a health ranger posted this out, and this is linked to the story in Australia, which I am speculating, but I would be quite certain it has to do with organ trafficking, with the trafficking of organs for science, for research, for sale on the open market. And he wrote this. It's amazing to see people who realize hospitals were paid up to $500,000 to kill patients under COVID incentives in 2020 and 21. They're now saying there's no way a hospital would kill me just to take my organs. Of course they would, right? Mike Adams, the health ranger. Don't be stupid. Your organs and the transplant surgeries and the anti-rejection drugs, repeat doctor visits, blood tests, etc., are worth far more than $500,000 in hospital revenues. To every hospital in the USA, you are worth far more dead than you are alive. Inside your chest is a gold mine of profits for the medical industrial complex. And all they have to do is crack open your sternum and dig into your chest, and all they have to do that is first declare that you are brain dead, which is also a complete fiction. There is no such thing as being brain dead. All right. That is just an excuse to kill humans and take their organs. You don't have to actually be dead at all. Since they already have the IV into your arm, they can easily sedate you at any moment and make you appear non-responsive. Then they can declare you brain dead and start scheduling the organ harvesting. Are you paying attention, he asks. And to any doctors who respond to this and claim that this doesn't happen, yeah, no one believes you anymore, since you mass murdered millions of people during COVID. Most of your profession is a cabal of homicidal murderers and profiteers who have zero compassion for fellow human beings. I wouldn't say most. I would say that there are some within the medical industrial complex who probably are homicidal murderers, psychopaths, or sociopaths. But I would say most in the health systems, doctors, nurses, staffers, executives, they have been so brainwashed and so propagandized in medical school from beginning to end and in their profession that most of them believe falsely that this process is moral and ethical and righteous. And the way that they will justify that, they'll do the math and they'll say, A, they were having mercy. They were being merciful to the patient who they deemed to be brain dead because, well, they weren't going to have a great life anyway, and it's merciful to euthanize them. And then they would do further grotesque math and say, well, for that one person that we euthanized, we were able to send or to save 10 additional people by harvesting their organs and shipping them out, and also conducting the research or whatever. And so this is the twisted moralistic logic that so many in the health community have adopted and believe, and they actually believe it's ethical. They believe that they are doing the right thing. It's the same as the abortion doctor years and years ago on British television said that it was merciful to put a pillow over the head of an autistic baby or a disabled baby so that that baby didn't have to grow up with a difficult life. Right? I mean, this is the utilitarian, socialistic ideology of these types of people. And it determines whether or not humans are useful or useless. And it's sick. It is sick. It is anti-human, but they believe that it's moral. It's absolutely tragic. And they'll expand the math, right? They'll say, well, that person was drug addicted. Well, that person was poor. Well, that baby was going to grow up in poverty. And it's merciful to conduct systematic, incentivized governmental killing in hospitals in order to pursue whatever this utopia that they think exists out there based on their scientific models. It's the exact same rationale that they use to justify mass coerce or forced vaccination, knowing full well that if they vaccinate millions of children, that necessarily thousands or tens of thousands will suffer horrifying adverse reactions and or death, and they don't care. They call that sacrificing. They will sacrifice your baby for their goal, their worship of their cult, the cult of the medical industrial complex or the vaccine ideology. They are perfectly fine, absolutely perfectly fine with sacrificing children. And it's even written into their language when they conduct clinical trials. The word is sacrifice. That's the word they used. Chillingly, it was the word that Bobby Kennedy Jr. used in his interview with Tucker Carlson when he said, we have to reform the VAERS system so that they're compensated. Those who have sacrificed for mass vaccination are properly compensated, and if they have injuries, have money for their health care, which blew my mind when Bobby Kennedy Jr. said that. Again, acknowledging and accepting that people are going to die based on their policies. This is why we must stand together. This is why we must relentlessly pursue the truth. Yes, Buskman, I did post the link to the Australia story about the corruption. The title is "The Albanese government is now paying," this is in Australia, a dead baby bonus, $20,000 for parental leave, and a stillbirth parenting payment of $4,255 for 2 women who will abort their babies after 20 weeks. This is horrifying. And this was a very good article. And thank you for this publication, Daily Declaration. And yes, Buskman, this article is linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. Kelly Victory had this to say about the organ donation scandal uncovered by the HHS administration. This will most certainly cause many to remove organ donor from their driver's licenses, and families will be very hesitant to agree to donation on behalf of loved ones. And this is after the HHS probe found that organ donations being authorized for patients showing signs of life. So terminating the lives of these patients prematurely to harvest their organs. And yes, for our family, we are not organ donors. You guys can make the decision for yourself. We do not donate organs here in the Shannon Joy or in the Joy household. Yes, Karen Carpenter, 27. Kelly Victory is such a warrior. She's amazing. And yes, put on your spiritual armor, guys, because this is horrifying stuff. And none of it has been addressed. Even with the election of Donald Trump, many in the medical freedom community thought that he was going to bring change. He has not. Many people thought that Bobby Kennedy Jr. was going to bring change. He has not. Glad that HHS did this study and came out with this finding, but there's a part of me that wonders if it isn't one of those distraction campaigns trying to distract away from the backlash that he is now getting for allowing his FDA and approving his FDA to approve yet another, you know it, mRNA vaccine. This one is a Moderna vaccine, and this is now igniting a firestorm within the medical freedom community and resulted in that great write-up by Endpoints. If I can put this in a PDF and link it tomorrow, I will. But this is just the headline of the Endpoints article, and we'll hit that when we come back. And they were very nice. I thought it was hostile. Sometimes I do these interviews, and I'm like, and I know it's with an organization that does not share my values. In fact, the reporter, again, Endpoints is a pharmaceutical industry publication. And so he even said to me as we began the interview, I don't agree. He's like, I checked you out and I know what you believe. I probably don't agree with you on a lot of these things, but they were very interested in what we had to say, and very respectful about it, by the way. But this was the beginning. FDA's continued approval of mRNA shots is infuriating some in MAHA. Now, I don't claim to be in MAHA. I think, MAHA is a distraction campaign. But he started out like this. In January, days before Robert Kennedy Jr.'s Senate hearing to become HHS secretary, Shannon Joy asked her tens of thousands of online followers a question on the minds of the MAHA faithful. Would Kennedy get rid of the mRNA vaccines that they thought were poisoning their bodies? And they quoted me, "Can he tame the pharma giant and stop mRNA expansion?" The self-described medical freedom advocate asked in a live stream. And he had another quote, "We need to get Bobby Kennedy Jr. confirmed once and for all, so we can get this show on the road." But in recent weeks, some of Kennedy's most avid supporters in the Make America Healthy Again movement have begun to have doubts. Instead of stamping out mRNA vaccines, the first 6 months of Kennedy's tenure at HHS has seen 3 mRNA-based vaccines approved, expanded approval of Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine and RSV shot, plus a next-gen COVID option. Under Kennedy, the FDA's regulatory backing for the vaccine has sharply divided his supporters. Some believe the agency has taken necessary steps. Others, like Joy, think virtually nothing has been done to stop the use of mRNA-based shots. And a quote again, "It's shocking that 3 mRNA products have been approved by Robert Kennedy's FDA," Joy said in an interview last week. "It's just astounding given his rhetoric, not only over the past 3 to 4 years, but over the past 2 decades of his career." They've also quoted here, or they have also featured Dr. Mary Talley Bowden and Aaron Siri as well, who has spoken out. It's great to see Aaron Siri speaking up. He is a fabulous attorney. I Can Decide. He was a Kennedy ally and vaccine injury lawyer. He recently testified to senators about vaccine injuries and expressed his concern to Endpoints. Siri reportedly vetted candidates for positions at HHS, and he tweeted out this just recently, quote, "I am deeply concerned that FDA is licensing these products without a full accounting of the harms they have caused and will continue to cause, especially those indicated for use in children." So yes, they got it right, and they aren't incorrect. There are a couple areas that I wish they would have expanded upon, but this just goes to show that our relentless relentless pursuit of the truth, our refusal to take political sides. I don't care if you're a Democrat, a Republican. The fact is, we are going to look at the discernible policy outcome, what is coming out of these administrations. And it's very clear that we're having an impact, a major impact, especially to be featured in one of these industry magazines. They're interested about what it really means to be in the medical freedom community. What are we angling for? And it is not getting rid of food dyes. It is not getting rid of certain ingredients and streamlining processes. It's not even really transparency. It's about bodily autonomy, informed consent, and pharmaceutical company liability protections removed once and for all. And not only are those liability protections still in place for every pharmaceutical corporation that produces vaccines, they have now, in the markups of the budget bills just in the last week, expanded those exact same liability protections to big chemical. This was also reported and pushed out by Children's Health Defense in a recent headline. They are now expanding, granting the exact same liability protections that the pharmaceutical companies have enjoyed for 20 years for the narrow category of vaccines. They are extending and expanding those protections to big chemical. And this is because of the massive lawsuit, the defeat of Roundup, and the payouts that had to go out. I believe it was billions of dollars in a judgment against the chemical corporation. They are now going into mass protection racket. So not only is it not getting better under Kennedy's tenure at HHS, it is getting worse. Okay? So this is why we have to continue, as I mentioned, to relentlessly pursue that truth. We're going to go to break very quickly. When we come back, I would love to get comments from those of you who are in the live chat. So if you have a question or a comment, please put it in all caps. If you have a comment or a question that you posted earlier in the show within the last 20 minutes, I'm not going to be able to see it. So post it again and we'll take a look at your comments and see if we can read a few of those. And then we'll go back to this Politico piece that I mentioned at the top of the hour when we started the show. And this is in Politico, the Epstein crisis now forcing Republicans to shut down the House early. 41 days. Mike Johnson with a temper tantrum. He's clearly irritated. I don't think this is performative. I think they are absolutely furious with Congressman Tom Massie for forcing this vote. And we're going to get into this, the politics of this. Yes, I think that the Epstein issue is very important. It's dominating headlines, and we're beginning to see cracks in the surface of this administration in the same way that the betrayals from Kennedy are breaking apart Maha. The betrayals from Trump and his administration on Epstein are breaking apart MAGA. And that is good if you, like I, believe that MAGA and Maha are both carefully crafted psyops, psychological operations designed to distract real movements, grassroots movements, away from their criticisms of these political actors in Washington, D.C., who work for the same team, by the way, right? D's and R's, there's no separation there in the analysis here in the Shannon Joy Show. They all work for the same people, and they are pursuing heavily the global reset, central banking digital currency, and the digital control system. So when we come back, we're going to take a look at that right here on the Shannon Joy Show. Keep it tuned here. Get your comments ready. Get your questions ready, and we'll finish it out. Remember that gold can act like insurance for your money because its price tends to rise as the dollar's purchasing power falls. So as inflation becomes more and more unbearable, if you are investing in and purchasing physical gold and silver, this acts as a hedge to that, right? And so as that dollar value declines, your gold, your silver is increasing. And we're looking at gold breaking that 4,000 mark that was also reported recently. So this is why so many global economic and geopolitical entities are beginning to move into gold. You can move into gold too. Colonial Metals Group, everything from the purchasing of physical gold and silver at great prices, also setting up or transferring your wealth over to a self-directed gold and silver backed IRA. That is another hedge for your retirement, for your investments, and every American needs to put a gold and silver strategy in place like immediately. There is still time. This is not going to go away, this problem. It's very evident with the big betrayal bill. It is time for you to begin to protect your family, your wealth, your retirement. The folks over at Colonial Metals Group are standing by. They are ready to talk to all of you in the Joy audience. They love this audience. They've taken great care of me. It's the only company that I trust, and they will take great care of you as well. colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. That is colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. Go there right now today. See if you qualify for up to $7,500 in free silver. It is an amazing deal for the Joy audience, and you can take advantage of.
This is Jennifer with darkbags.com. I wanted to show you one of our newest products from Escape Zone. This is our satellite Faraday sleeve. So it actually will fit your satellite phone, which we've noticed that there wasn't any product on the market that perfectly fit them, so we decided to make them ourselves. And it has this Velcro closure right here to close it up, and that makes this dust and water resistant. So what's nice about this Faraday pouch is that it'll protect against any EMPs. So your emergency device actually will always be protected in here as long as it stays in here. You can take it out for everyday use, but if you're not using it, we recommend that you store it in here. Again, this is available on darkbags.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. Quick update on gold. As you see in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show, gold has now hit another crucial confidence benchmark, clearing 3,400 per ounce, and silver is like so close to hitting over 40. We know that silver has been suppressed for so long. Breaking out over 40 is a huge deal. Peter Schiff, this is what he had to say. He's a regular contributor here in the Shannon Joy Show. Just a couple tweets that he pushed out in the past 24 hours. The GDX, and I believe that's gold and silver mining stocks, just hit a new 52-week high ahead of gold. The last time GDX was this high was October of 2012. But back then, gold was just 1,700. So gold prices have doubled, yet major gold mining stocks are still flat. This tells you how cheap they still are. And in addition, he wrote this: gold has now solidly cleared 3,400, trading above 3,415. And as I mentioned, silver is at 39, hitting its highest price since 2012. It's on its way to 40 and beyond. Again, silver stocks are way below last week's high, given all the fear among investors that the market is about to tank. So we're getting right ahead of another big, what he predicts, leg up in gold and silver. And it really is just the beginning. The way that I look at this, as long as there is chaos in Washington, D.C., profligate spending, big, beautiful betrayal bills, the same kabuki theater that we've seen over the past 20 to 30 years, the drunken spending by these lunatics in Washington, D.C., as long as that continues, the only place for investor, the only place that people are going, these are countries across the globe, and now retail investors and consumers as well. We know that Walmart and Costco cannot keep gold on the shelves. They're actually selling physical bars of gold and silver. But as long as that continues, there's no cap. This is why, again, you have to get a gold strategy in place. The company I trust is Colonial Metals Group, colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy, colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. I just opened up my own personal self-directed Roth IRA, or no, not a Roth IRA, an IRA backed by gold. Sorry, my phone is ringing. Who is calling me? I think, doesn't everybody know that I have a show from 12:30 to 12 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern time every day? It's probably one of my kids. But anyway, I can't believe how easy it was to set up the gold-backed IRA, and I have so much peace of mind. So much peace of mind knowing that my retirement, my savings are going to be protected and backed by gold. It is the hedge against debt spending and what is happening in our government right now. So colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy, colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. Again, what is it? They're doing 7,500 of free silver for people who qualify. So make sure you tell them that I sent you. They are looking out for the Joy audience. Great relationship with Colonial Metals Group. And I know so many of the people there. So tell them I said hello and make sure that you, that's so funny. Make sure that you let them know that we sent you. So colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. Okay. I'm quoting Mark the Regan. I'm quoting Peter Schiff, a regular. He's an expert. He's great. So consistent. I've been using Peter Schiff for 10 years. And, he's very consistent with his analysis. And yeah, very, very good news for those of you who took my advice a year and a half ago, and got started on a gold strategy. You're very happy right now. I think 61%. Increase. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. People who have taken that leap. All right. So who do we have here on the live chat? We do have a question. Oh, Bill Benz, that is so sad. Current situation, two great friends, 50-year-old sister, 24-year-old son, cancer, two 50-year-old cousins, heart attacks, clots, organ removals, all vaccinated. I mean, it's horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying. A new study has come out. Mary Talley Bowden pushed this out. I don't have it listed in the show notes, but a new study has come out. I believe it was a Yale study showing that the spike protein is remaining in the system. And this is, I want to say, years after vaccination, and it's also changing the immune systems of vaccinated versus unvaccinated. It's horrifying, absolutely horrifying. And the data just gets worse and worse. And so this is why Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s decision to approve under his HHS 3 new versions of the COVID vaccine, 2 Moderna and another one, is outrageous. It is outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. I'm very proud of Children's Health Defense for launching a lawsuit against Bobby Kennedy Jr. in his capacity at HHS. This is what we must do. We relentlessly pursue the truth. Children's Health Defense is about children's health defense. And they tweeted out on that, I believe. I don't know if I have that here with me. But basically, they stood by their decision. Last week, Bobby Kennedy Jr. tried to push out a narrative that he was on vacation. This is one of the propagandists, Sudden and Unexpected, which is, I think, a propaganda site for Bobby Kennedy Jr. or his handlers. And this is what they wrote. Bobby was on vacation when the FDA approved the Moderna vaccine for children. He had no input. No one called him. No one contacted him. When the news broke, he got back to DC and went on a firing spree. Apparently, one of the deputy chiefs of staff, after being fired, drove her car into Kennedy's government-issued car. When we say that Bobby is up against the monsters, understand how bad it is for him and how desperate they are to destroy him and his work. Bullshit, sudden and unexpected. I call BS. That's outrageous. So this is the statement. I mean, this is this is what they're saying. They're with a straight face trying to tell us that Bobby was on vacation. It was just 1 Moderna vaccine. They've approved 3 mRNA technologies under his watch at HHS. But on this one, he was on vacation and no one told him. And it was his deputy chief of staff, a woman named Heather Flick, who did the deed, right? And then she got so mad. Her name was, it's outrageous. The DCO's for policy was walked off the premises, and she was so upset that she crashed her car into the secretary's government-provided vehicle. Let's get some evidence of that. I mean, this is outrageous. Okay. The buck stops with Bobby Kennedy Jr. Ultimately, it stops with Trump. Right. And if Bobby is working for Trump and Trump loves his big, beautiful vaccines and he loves Operation Warp Speed and he's working for Susie Wiles, well, then everything begins to make sense. There's also speculation that Bobby Kennedy Jr. has been promised the presidency in the next election. So he is starting his campaign. He is running for president after Trump is after Trump's 4-year tenure. And that is speculation, but it would make sense. It would help to make sense of the stunning and breathtaking betrayal that we have witnessed by Bobby Kennedy Jr. at HHS over the past few weeks. And this is why the backlash is beginning to ramp up. Now, the good news is people aren't buying it. No one is buying this story from Bobby that he was on vacation and that's why this happened, especially some of his high profile former supporters, right? So again, the theme of this show today is pushing back against the narratives, rejecting the gaslighting, rejecting the psychological operations, rejecting the propaganda, putting our heads on straight as Americans and figuring this out, right? And this is my favorite headline of the day. This is linked into the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. This is also from Children's Health Defense. 60%, 60% of pregnant women and young mothers in the United States of America are considering delaying or refusing outright routine vaccinations for their children, while only 40% plan to follow the full childhood vaccination schedule, according to the results of a nationwide survey that was published last Tuesday in the journal JAMA Network Open. As you recall, Dr. Peter McCullough was on with me last week on the Shannon Joy Show, and he referred to this study. He was absolutely right. By the way, blockbuster interview with Dr. Peter McCullough last week. I highly suggest you guys go back and watch that interview. It was unbelievable. Okay, so he referenced that study. Approximately, so the findings, which were published in the journal JAMA Network Open, showed that vaccine uncertainty was highest among pregnant women who had previously given birth and parents of young children. A total of 174 pregnant women and 1,765 parents of young children participated in 2 surveys administered concurrently in April of 2024. I bet it is so much higher now. That was in 2024. I would love to see what the polling is now. This is amazing. This is great. There has never been a larger campaign, propaganda campaign, well-funded by the federal government, both political parties, Republicans and Democrats, the entirety of the medical industrial complex with the largesse of pharmaceutical corporations, billions and billions, if not trillions of dollars in unearned advertising, unpaid advertising, and clear, coercive, and manipulative propaganda pummeling the American people for 20 years. And now we have 60% saying, oh, hell no, right? We're not just going to take this. This is exercising that resistance muscle. It is exercising the refusal muscle. It is saying, no, I don't want your shot. I don't want your vaccine. I don't want your surveillance. I don't want your central banking digital currency. I don't want your fake digital money. I don't want your digital ID. I don't want this government handout or that government handout. If more and more Americans and more counties did this across the country, which I think we are on the precipice of, everything changes. Everything changes. And this is just the beginning. It is phenomenal news. Char Kubani is with us on the live chat with a question. Do you think all of this MAHA agenda is really to promote the transhuman agenda? The people behind MAHA, if you were to trace it back and try to understand who the people behind MAHA are, you could go back to the Mercury public relations firms, Susie Wiles, Callie Means, Casey Means, their father, Grady Means, who was a personal assistant to Nelson Rockefeller, wrote the book Felix the Flamingo, which does have a bit of a transgender-ish flavor to it. I mean, very sketchy people. And if you look at all of the people that they hang out with in the biomedical community, certainly Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, and the technocrats, you could say that the agenda behind MAHA, even if there are unwitting MAHA proponents or claiming to be MAHA, if you were to look at that darker agenda behind it, I think it really could be another part of that transhumanist agenda. And because, MAHA is interesting. They're really pushing wearables. They're really pushing technology. They're really pushing biosurveillance. And they're really pushing control, right? It's make America healthy again. The government is going to decide what you eat, when you eat it, how you eat it, whether there are food dyes in it, more controls on food production, right? It's all about control. They're not placing any controls on pharmaceutical corporations. They're paving the way. They're helping the pharmaceutical corporations enjoy their liability protection and get away with approvals of approvals of mRNA technology, even under Robert Kennedy Jr.'s administration. So it's not about freedom. It's not about informed consent. It's not about simply just giving us the right to say no, or even using the bully pulpit to talk about people's right to say no. Notice that Bobby Kennedy Jr. never goes on Tucker Carlson and talks about bodily autonomy and making any mandates for any type of medical intervention illegal, or recommending against those, or working against those, to take those mandates away, or to make it impossible for states or corporations or anyone to mandate someone get a vaccine against their will. They never talk about that. They don't talk about informed consent. Why doesn't Bobby Kennedy Jr. get up on the podium, on the bully pulpit, and say, you know what? We need a prominently placed poster in every single medical office, every single pediatric office, that lists fully all of the adverse events that could potentially occur after vaccination. And we need to require that physicians and doctors know about adverse events, know about the various reporting system. We need to make sure that every time a shot goes into an arm, the parent or the guardian of the children or the recipient of that shot must know, have a sit down and understand the risk benefit analysis and the potential side effects. These are things that are very well publicized on a million pharmaceutical ads for products like Vioxx, or actually not Vioxx, but pharmaceutical products. Every time you watch television and there are a million pharma commercials and they list off 20,000 adverse events, including death. They're forced to do that. They're made to do that, probably because of regulations from HHS. So why doesn't HHS require that doctors and pediatricians give their patients informed consent about vaccines, right? That is so easy. He doesn't have to do anything, write anything. He doesn't have to lobby anyone. He simply needs to get up on a podium and begin to inform people about their informed consent. But he doesn't do that, right? So liability protection for pharma, no movement from Kennedy. Informed consent, no movement from Kennedy. Getting rid of mandates, no movement from Kennedy. It's all about setting up rules and regulations and more government to regulate food companies and farming practices and things that they don't really need to be in the business of regulating. So that is the problem with MAHA. It's about making you into something, making you healthy, even if it's against your will, right? Because now they're going in and they're changing your access to certain products. Whether or not you want to eat red dye, I don't know. But is that really where we want them going? Do we want that precedent? What if they come in and they say, you know what, your health is in the interest of the federal government, right? And it is our job to make sure you're healthy. So you have to eat this, or you can't eat that. You have to get this medical procedure, or you can't get that medical procedure. I mean, it's the opposite of what the medical freedom movement is about, which is the right to say no. If the three things that I mentioned, the right to say no, informed consent, and pharmaceutical liability protection bans, if those three things happened, it's over. It's gone. We don't have an issue anymore. And I can retire. It's amazing. That's what we want. Because what do we want? Freedom. We want freedom. We don't want you making us anything, Bobby. So, long answer to Char Kubani's very, very good question. Appreciate you. So let's see what we have here on the live chat. nautical. Maha will put America on a diet and ration the amount of food they can buy. Why not? It's about making you healthy. The government making you make decisions that they deem are healthy, or corralling you into into healthy food decision making. So that was one of my big problems with Maha from the very beginning. But again, remember, Maha jives very nicely with tyrannical government control. Maha plays very nicely with an expanded HHS and an expanded governmental presence in our lives. And so that's why Maha is allowed to exist. That's why Maha is allowed to have a guy in HHS, because they're playing ball with the already tyrannical system that has harmed so many people to begin with. Yes, do not obey. Obey by force, just like the Soviet Union, said DeYoung 99. I agree. Who else do we have? LT Oracle of Truth is with us as well. Do we have, trying to see if we have any other questions here on the live chat. Oh, Karen Carpenter has a comment. I have a young mother in my extended family who isn't vaccinating. She asked me for advice. So happy her baby will be spared. She said the doctor tried to scare her into it, but she refused. I'm hearing this more and more, and it is music to my ears. So great piece here from Children's Health Defense. It is linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. We have about 10 minutes left here. Let's finish off with the Epstein saga. Again, another example of the American people, whether or not you think it matters. I think that it does. I think that there are Epstein victims. I think that Epstein, based on the research that I have done over the past 10 years, the experts that I have talked to, I absolutely believe that Epstein ran a network, criminal network, and a lot of it had to do with money laundering and financial crimes. That's covered very nicely by Whitney Webb in her reporting One Nation Under Blackmail 2-part series. But I think it also was an intelligence gathering honeypot operation where Epstein would, on behalf of either the CIA or Israeli intelligence, it's unclear. He has claimed that he worked for Israeli intelligence in the past. And as we know, Ghislaine Maxwell's father was also linked to Israeli intelligence. I do believe that it is very plausible that Epstein, with his millions, would set up very high profile political actors, judges, politicians, heads of state with young girls and potentially young boys, and help them facilitate their disgusting, depraved, horrifying sexual tastes. And then, take pictures or videos or gain evidence or gather evidence and then use that for blackmail. And, this is something that is practiced. We know that, this type of operation, these types of operations exist. And that's basically the narrative for Epstein. There are victims out there. And so I do believe that we need to get to the bottom of this. Now, some people will say, well, you're never going to get the Epstein files. It's never going to happen. I never say never, right? Anything can happen, and we can pursue. If we continue to pursue truth, I do believe that this latest pushback by the American people, really just saying like BS. It's total BS. We know that there's a list. We know there were clients. In fact, there was a really good, who was it? Let me see what this one was. Yeah, this was a great post by Brianna Morello. Right now, the Department of Justice has just charged a man for allegedly threatening to kill people on the Epstein list. So this is the same Epstein list that the DOJ under Pam Bondi also says does not exist. And she has listed 2 of the pages of that that federal case, right? So this is the reason I think that we really need to get to the bottom of this or continue to push for the truth for this is because it's making them very unsteady and it's making them very angry. If you saw, in fact, I think that we have it. Annie, do you want to play the, I think it's a minute and a half of Mike Johnson. They are so angry that Tom Massie is forcing this vote, so angry that they shut down the House of Representatives. So 41 days. I mean, I guess that's good news in and of itself. They were working on all these terrible markups for the big betrayal bill. And now because of this vote, which would put people on the record, which, by the way, Tom Massie says he has the number of votes necessary to force them to release the Epstein files. This is from New York Times breaking news. Speaker Mike Johnson says he would shut down the House until September to block a vote on calling for the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files, right? Like, I don't think that was written into the script. They want the money, honey, okay? They're about to pass this bill and get the spending. Yes, Karen Carpenter, Nick Bryant published Epstein's Black Book online in 2015. He's a wealth of information. Nick Bryant will be with us on the Shannon Joy Show on Friday, but we're not going to have time. Well, Annie, do we have time to play the Mike Johnson clip? Nah, 2 minutes to wrap. We'll save that for Nick Bryant. We'll save the Johnson. I mean, he was visibly irritated and went hard after Tom Massie and basically threw a temper tantrum, and shut down the House. So this is, from Politico. House GOP leaders are canceling Thursday's votes and sending members home. If this just keeps the government shut down, what if we could use the Epstein list to keep the government shut down indefinitely? Like, if they're so afraid of that list and we can send them home, get out of Washington, D.C., and install the big betrayal, horrifying bill that is a massive expansion of government. I mean, it's awful. Then I think this is great. And once again, it's Tom Massie. And, he's linking up with some Republicans and a few Democrats and has the votes. And I think that this is brilliant. So yes, Rothenwalker, I know that you're mad that we're still talking about Epstein because you don't think there's a book. You don't think there are clients. You don't think human trafficking is happening. And that is your right, Rothenwalker, to not believe that. But I think you're dead wrong. And I also think that this is a leverage point that we can use. They're hiding something. Right? If there really was nothing there and there was really nothing for us to achieve by continuing to press for the Epstein files and that release and the release of the client list, then they wouldn't be putting up the fight that they're putting up right now. So Doug99 thinks that it is a great plan. And I think that we should pursue that. I think that we should be relentless. And if he wants to shut down the House for 41 days, well, go for it. The day you open up the House in September? Is it September? Yeah. The day you open up, then we'll have Tom Massie. We'll have him put it up for a vote then. LT Oracle of Truth, Massie, Austin fits for 2028. Listen, I am not about presidential elections. I don't think any president, even Massie, could save us, right? We need to resist from the bottom up. The way to save yourself is to learn to say no, exit the two-party political paradigm, and begin to emancipate, become independent, take care of yourself, reject the government money. And that is a bottom-up approach and a bottom-up strategy. Oh, okay, Rothenwalker. I totally get it. Sarcasm on the live chat is tricky. I'm mocking Trump for saying, why are we still talking about it? I thought so. That's amazing. Yeah, sarcasm in text is absolutely deadly. I agree 100%. All right, guys, you're amazing. Thank you for being with us today here on the Shannon Joy Show. Annie, thank you for producing the show. We have a lot to get to tomorrow as well. And again, Nick Bryant on Friday. I am so pumped to talk to that guy. We have a lot to do here in the resistance. We need to fight for our liberty, and we're going to continue to do so. Thank you for supporting the Shannon Joy Show. We'll be back again tomorrow to do it all again. Have a great day.